Okay, before we say anything, and this stays in the episode, Micah, this is an editing note for you. You don't have the blanket up, so does it make that much of a difference?
Think about it.
Yes. So here's the deal, folks. We always record, and there's a big blanket cutting the room.
Hello, everybody.
Halfway through, the
It's
room
the
is being
Macabre
cut.
Podcast universe.
And
we exist. Go ahead.
Well, so it cuts the room in half. It makes it sound nice, but we have a newer mic, and I just want to see if maybe we don't have to put up that ugly blanket anymore.
I would love that.
And in my ears, it sounds like there's not a lot of reverb, but we're gonna see, and we may or may not have the blanket for rings. So, go ahead with the intro.
We exist to prove people wrong when they say sequels are never better than the originals. Today, though, I don't think we'll be proving that.
We are not going to be proving that on this episode. Today, we are covering the Ring series. And last week, if you survived, because we recorded a cursed episode of podcasting where if you listen to it, you had 7 days and then you die, and now it's going to be the 8th day. So if you are listening to this, you survived, which means you shared the episode.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to survive this episode, I think you're going to have to take your phone and put it in a pool in the bathtub.
Sure.
For it to live.
Okay. Kill it and then put it in a bucket of rice.
Let your phone battery die listening to this episode, and then you can plug it back in, and it'll be purged of the episode. So here we are, The Ring 2, both of our first experience.
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts here.
I was immediately I was like, okay, already it's not as good. It just doesn't have the gore touch.
Doesn't have the gore touch.
It doesn't look as good even a little bit.
No.
So that's fine. I was pretty on board. I would say for like the first act. I want to say it's the first act. And then whether it's the end of Act 1 or the beginning of Act 2, I was like, oh, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yep. And it was a very, very 180. For both of us, I know that. And then then
there is
then
a deer scene in this movie that's pretty indicative of where the movie loses me.
Yeah, and then after that, it's like, oh my gosh, how much longer is this movie?
Yeah, it felt really long.
Yeah, we did watch the extended cut accidentally.
Unrated version.
That's the version we got.
Yeah,
it's the version we were stuck with.
Yeah. And it was so unrated.
So unrated, so extended.
It's just so funny how, like, I think that has changed. Like, I don't know that people use that language as much anymore, but like mid 2000s to like teen 2000s, it was always like the unrated versions. Mm-hmm. And occasionally you would see something where like it was a significant difference, but usually it was like, there's 2 F words in this.
Yeah.
Or in the case of this
boobs.
movie, I don't think there's anything that would have caused it to be rated R that we see.
No.
This movie is very not scary.
No.
But there's a lot of interesting stuff to talk about with this movie. So I didn't like this movie. I don't think it's a good movie. I don't think it's a good sequel. But I did kind of. There was something weirdly nostalgic about it. Mm-hmm. On like we just tried to make a sequel to a movie. Gilmore, get out of there.
He's eating my crumbs. It's fine.
Oh, he's eating your crumbs. Okay. Good boy. Gilmore's back in the studio. He's taken a couple of breaks from the last few, but he's back.
I don't think he actually has.
Yeah, but we can't see him very well.
Yeah.
So there's just something about like they used to just make sequels and they didn't like overthink them as much.
Yeah.
Like they didn't treat them with reverence necessarily. And I think now anytime a sequel's made, it's always very much like, well, we have to make sure the fan base is happy. And we have to make sure
they're just making a carbon copy of the first one.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Yeah. Or they're just like treating things with like such dignity and respect that don't need to be.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of nice watching a sequel that was like, we just made a sequel 3 years later.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that.
And I like the premise. I just don't like what they did with it.
Yes, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. How was this movie made?
Yeah, so there wasn't much to find, but here's what I find interesting. For those little refresher, there are a series of books that this is based on. So the second book, and there are 6 novels, and the second novel is called Spiral. And it's not Spiral from the Book of Saw. It's Spiral. And
how come they haven't brought that to print? Saw.
Well, you know that's the name of one of the movies I just said?
Yes, I know.
Oh, okay,
how come they haven't brought that?
I bet they have.
I bet there's comics. That's my guess.
Yeah, wouldn't want to read those.
Icky.
So here we go. We have the direct. Well, so you have the Ring 2 book is called Spiral. So
starring Chris Rock, I know.
So Hideo Nakata is the director of the first Ring movie.
Yep.
And then someone else makes Spiral. And then a few years later, they just make Ring 2 in Japan.
Without him.
And they just, no, Hideo Nakata makes Ring 2 and just disregards Spiral because it was so, like, people did not like it.
Oh, that's interesting.
And they just call it Ring 2.
Oh.
So the third movie in the Japanese series is called Ring 2.
Oh. So is this that movie?
Well,
okay,
we're getting there. So then they're getting ready to make this movie, and they have this other director. What is his name? Director Noam Muro, who directed 300, Rise of an Empire, and Watership Down. He was going to direct this movie, and then he left the project.
Okay.
And so they hired Hideo Nakata, who is the director of Ring and Ring 2 in Japan. Technically Ring 3. So now he's making the Ring 2 in America, which I don't know if that specific set of circumstances
been able to do that before. If anyone's been given the chance to make
so
the
weird.
Same movie.
Yeah.
Twice.
And to make a movie in a different country.
Different language.
Yeah, different language. So he makes the movie. I read about Ring 2.
Okay.
It sounds pretty way different.
Oh, okay.
It sounds like these are just 2 separate movies, basically.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he just copy and paste?
Well, because this movie
himself a lot of time.
Written by Aaron Kruger, who wrote the last movie, but I think the last movie was a bit of an adaptation, and I think this movie he just wrote this movie.
Oh, Aaron, come on, guy.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that's kind of interesting. That's like a good. That'd be a good like trivia question at like a trivia bar night or something.
Yeah.
We got to get into that someday.
Yeah, one of these days.
Yeah.
With the baby and all that.
Yeah, maybe not anytime soon.
Yeah.
But a movie trivia place, that'd be awesome.
We still need to see Iron Claw.
That's true. As of the time this recording comes out, hopefully we've seen it.
Yeah.
The cinematography is by Gabriel Beristain, who did Blade 2, so we talked about him recently. The music is by, oh my gosh, My Freaking.
Oh my gosh, My Freaking. I've never heard of them before.
Yeah.
It's a music artist?
No, I'm just annoyed because Apple like kept auto-correcting these names, so they're not American names, and so now I can't find them because it auto-corrected. This name is Henning Lohner, and
that sounds made up.
Well, he's German, but Henning was changed to Hanging Lohner. That sounds like a double entendre there.
It does.
But Henning Lohner, he is a member of Hans Zimmer's music cooperative Remote Control Productions. So I'm sure he's worked on a lot of scores with him.
Cool.
And then Martin Tillman also is on the score of this, and he's a cellist, and he's done a lot of cello work for a lot of scores. And I think he has even a solo career that's also been used in movies.
Oh, okay.
So
good for him.
Yeah, and I think I saw he played cello on The Dark Knight, which means he's probably the Joker theme guy who does the like sound.
Oh, cool.
I would imagine that's him that's playing it.
Cool.
So, those are the people who made it. The movie comes out March 18th, 2005. It has a $50 million budget.
Do you think it's so fun? Because like you've seen like behind the scenes of a score being written / performed and recorded, and the movie's playing.
Oh,
and people are playing to it. Does that not sound like one of the most thrilling things? I mean, I'm sure I know it's hard. I know it's hard. It's not like all easy and stuff, but it sounds fun.
As a musician, I would do it in a heartbeat. Yeah. Absolutely. And I would practice like crazy. I I have heard and get the impression that, like, say you're at John Williams' score and he's conducting you for Star Wars or something, or someone else is conducting his score, whatever. It's like, hey, the first trumpet made a mistake on that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, let's do it one more time. And it's like, you made a mistake again. Please leave. I think it's that kind of environment. It's
really,
I think.
Let's just look at this as a utopian society where it's all
these are people who are like, graduates from like Juilliard and Berkeley and stuff like that. So they're not making those mistakes. But like for me, I would be so daunted to go to a classical set.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be daunted to either. But like if Hans Zimmer called me, I've seen footage of him working with people, and it seems more like my experience in the studio where it's like, hey, play some guitar licks and let's see what happens. And it's like, okay, cool.
But
Hans Zimmer's
doesn't he do scores while they're filming?
Hans?
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
Hasn't he done that before?
Probably.
Isn't there like a movie where... Didn't that happen with Oppenheimer?
Well, he didn't do the score for Oppenheimer. That was Ludwig.
That was Ludwig.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like lately maybe we covered a movie and maybe it probably wasn't him. We're like...
you're talking about the girl with the dragon tattoo.
Oh, that's what it is.
Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. They were writing music and sending it to David Fincher as he was filming.
And that's not common.
That's an uncommon, yes.
They shoot and then they get the stuff.
Yeah, they'd usually like start working like the same time like visual effects people are working and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Actually, sometimes I think it's even later because there's like sometimes where they get into this thing where there's all this temp music.
Oh, right.
Meaning temporary music.
That sets the mood. This is kind of what we're going for.
Yeah, and there's a lot of composers who really hate that because then it's
them in a box.
Well, it's like you're watching the scene over and over, editing it, and then you become used to that temp music, and then directors like basically they're like, we just want you to make this, but make it so we don't have to pay that person. So like. I know a lot of like Marvel movies had that problem at the beginning, and a lot of studio movies do that. But but Hans would be fun to work with.
Sounds fun.
Yeah,
sounds like it would be fun.
Yeah,
if you were like riding that wave of like I'm having a great day, my fingers are playing this instrument so well, my lungs are full of air.
Yeah,
health wise, and we're all killing it while we're watching this cool scene.
Right.
That sounds fun.
Well, and I mean, there's something to be said for like if you're on an orchestra for a film score, like you got there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't think you're just gonna show up and have like I couldn't just get that gig. I would have to have like.
I'm not saying you, Micah. I'm saying you Stead.
No, I know that. I just mean like I painted a picture of like a really brutal world, but it's like the same thing as like an NBA player is expected to make basketball shots.
Do you think that if you were if you were down on the court with all of them guys just playing, it would be so fun?
Yeah, if I got there.
Don't you? It just seems like it would be really fun.
Okay. This movie has a $50 million budget. It makes 75.9 in the US and 161.9 worldwide. I got the breakdown on the unrated. What is extended? Because Jordan and I throughout this movie were trying to guess what was and wasn't extended.
Yeah, you thought that deer scene was completely extended, like the whole thing. And
I thought
said,
so.
No,
yeah.
There's no way.
Because it was so unfinished looking. I know it's 2005, and it was also like it just had that sheen of like, yeah, this was like recently edited and we just put this in for the unrated, It had that vibe. So in the unrated DVD release, we have extra scenes, conversations with Rachel's neighbor, new neighbor, and neighborhood gossip, numerous editions in which Max shows a romantic interest in Rachel, more scenes with Samara prior to her possession of Aiden, including one in which she is shown to enter him in the restroom at the local fair, and an extended opening scene. However, the scene in the theatrical cut in which Aiden first encounters a deer while wandering the local fair prior to the deer attack has been removed from this version. So we didn't get that scene.
Sorry, who got attacked? What?
There's a scene at the fair where he sees a deer, and that scene's not in the unrated. And then the scene when the power went out was changed with a scene of the lights in Aiden's room going on and off, as well as the oven downstairs catching fire. Also, some musical cues were changed, as when Samara leaps out of the well in the opening scene. So that's the difference.
Okay.
Who do we have for actors?
Simon Baker plays Max Rourke.
And he is, of course, CBS's The Mentalist.
Is that CBS?
Is it? Please tell me.
It's not on the poster, so I don't know immediately.
I will look it up while you go, because this is important to me. We've had a little bit of a Simon Baker.
The Devil Wears Prada, The Land of the Dead. What is that? Land of the Dead. I mean, it's a zombie movie. But
is that Romero?
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Margin Call, Limbo, Blaze, yada yada yada.
Okay.
Elizabeth Perkins plays the Doctor.
CBS.
She is CBS. Nice job. She was in the most recent season of After Party. She's also in Big.
Yep.
She's in Weeds, Sharp Objects, This Is Us, The Morning Show.
Oh, wow.
So on and so forth. Then Gary Cole was a surprise. It was fun seeing him.
Can we pause for a second?
What?
Do you have any temperature on whether The Morning Show is a good show or not? Because the things I hear about that show, it sounds like it's like a hilariously bad show. And then sometimes you'll hear someone say, like, it's great.
I don't personally know anyone who watches it.
Yeah.
That's why I think I've never gotten an actual take on the show.
Yeah. It sounds, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've heard very varying different things about it that are like wildly different.
Yeah.
So it's
me
like,
too.
I have no idea
and
what
usually
the show
it's
is
from
like.
Comedians' mouths. So I don't know. Gary Cole, though, he's the dad in Talladega Nights. He's Reese Bobby. He's also in Dodgeball.
Veep. Yeah.
Office Space. 1 Hour Photo.
Yes.
Family Guy. Big Mouth. NCIS.
I mean, he is like character actor extraordinaire.
He's great.
When we saw him, we were like, we have to memorize this guy's name because we see him all the time, and it's always like, that guy.
He's so funny in Talladega Nights. Okay. I'm just remembering who this one person is who I was trying to remember while we were watching the movie. Not this person. Ryan Merriman, who plays Jake, the kid at the beginning.
Yes. Who is he?
Oh, he seems like such a Final Destination 3 guy.
Is that what he's in?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's also in something called The Pretender.
Okay.
What a bad poster. And Taken, but not that Taken.
Oh.
This looks like a alien abduction Taken.
Oh, okay.
Out of Exile. He's in a lot of not good stuff.
I thought he was perfectly cast for
I thought so too.
movie.
He was great.
Yeah.
Emily Van Camp, who is the girl. She is Sharon Carter in Marvel. She is Peggy Carter's granddaughter.
Oh, the one that...
Right? Is that granddaughter?
Yes. Okay.
And
yes.
In one of the movies, her and Captain America have a fling, and I'm like, I am erasing that from my memory.
Yeah. And
I think everyone else did too.
They required us to do so.
She's also in Revenge, Miranda's Victim. Who knows who that is? The Resident, What If? Well, yeah. And other stuff.
Okay. She did look familiar now that you mention it. Wow. Okay.
And I think that about does it.
Really? So we're already in the plot of this movie.
Yeah.
Should we go?
Let's go as long as we can.
Okay. So the movie begins, and I really liked the beginning of this movie. And I have a lot of reasons for why, but go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you were...
Please.
No, please, you
Sir,
go.
Please.
Please, take my
No,
wife.
I really want you to go.
Oh, okay. So the movie starts out, and again, kind of like the first movie, it almost is like a Scream-esque thing where you're like, oh, this is like so typical for a horror movie to start like this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have these two lovebirds from high school, and they go back, and he's being so weird. He keeps looking at the clock, and she's like, oh, but my parents are gonna... Your parents aren't coming home, right? And he's like, no. And he just keeps looking at the clock, and he's like, hey, have you ever seen a movie that it was so scary you had to show somebody? And it's almost like, what is happening? Like, what are we doing here?
Mm-hmm.
This is getting into bad territory. And then he's like, just watch this tape. It's like awesome. It's so crazy. My friend showed it to me. You got to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I do have a question about this, but
okay.
keep going.
So he hands her the tape.
She has to put it in.
Yeah, and he's like, just watch it, just watch it. Then he goes into the other room, and then he's just sweating bullets. And then he's looking at the time, and you're like, oh my gosh, he watched the tape 7 days ago, and he has to get her to watch it. And I was like, that's pretty sweet, because you see that he was like using this girl the whole time, and it's like dumb high schooler.
She even kind of like called him out for being a douche.
Yeah.
Because it's like we sat next to each other in math class sophomore year, and then this other class, and you never paid me any attention. Why all of a sudden when we're about to graduate?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's schmoozing.
And I just loved that, like, it was not what I was expecting the scene. I thought it was just going to be like, let's watch this tape.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I thought they would fall madly in love, get married, have kids.
The only problem with it is, now that I'm thinking about it, the movie establishes you just have to copy the tape. You don't have to get someone to watch it.
But do you think that's just his own misunderstanding? Like, that was the rumor? The rumor is you have to get someone else to watch it? And it's just misinformation. Maybe. I don't necessarily think it's a loophole. I think it's just a bad rumor. An incorrect rumor.
Yeah, that could work. But they go out of their way to show that she didn't watch it.
I know.
So I think it is actually just.
But then later on, when Naomi like sees everything, investigates, she gets in the car. She's like, I only made one copy.
Yeah.
So she knows it's the copy.
No, well, I thought my thought on that is like she made one copy, but like the internet, it's like, something getting, like a beach ball at a Nickelback concert getting bounced around.
Like there are other copies. She thinks she was only made the only one, and like that it's like she's
like someone else got it, made a copy.
That she had the original, and it's like, why would you think you have the original?
Oh, I was just thinking she made a copy, and then now people are just making copies.
Oh,
that's what I was thinking.
I felt like she made a copy and then didn't do anything with the tape. Does she have to give it to somebody?
No, I don't. Yeah, well, and see that's where I think maybe this scene actually doesn't make sense, which I didn't realize until we started talking about it.
I just want to choose to believe that he was misinformed and he needed to make a copy, but he was told just get someone else to watch it and you won't die.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, if she watches this tape, she'll die in 7 days. So even so it still matters if she watched it or not.
Right.
So I think if in my mind that works, that's fine.
Oh yeah. Yes. I see what you're saying about her. Yeah, that makes sense too. But anyway, I just think it's a great, it's kind of a tension. This is the scariest and best scene in the movie.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. It was cool. Right off the bat, though, it was like, oh, this movie is not even like half as well shot as the other one, as well as like cinematography, the way it just doesn't look, it just almost looks a little bit more like a TV movie.
It does, and I agree with you, but I will say in this first scene when the camera was moving certain ways, like when she was looking around. There are some
good things about it for sure.
It just made me think like, oh, this is probably what the other two Ring movies look like. Yeah. Like this is the guy, like there's a style here.
There's just like some shots for sure throughout this movie that are better than your, I don't know, run of the mill, whatever guy you get to hire to direct a sequel. You know what I mean? But comparing it to Gore,
no, I mean Gore's is way better.
Yeah.
But I did feel like I thought it was going to be a little. Well, no, actually, I thought maybe this movie would actually be a little messed up. And it wasn't.
Oh, like gorier, creepier, scarier.
Yeah, I thought the story wouldn't be as good, but I thought maybe like, like this guy who's made 2 other Ring movies would really bring some juice to it.
Yeah.
Not kind of like studio hire almost.
Mm-hmm.
But I did feel like there was a language in the movie of someone behind the camera. It wasn't just point and shoot.
No, I don't think so either.
So, and this was like back in the day when like franchises could look different, which is kind of fun.
From movie to movie.
Yeah. Like Mission Impossible used to be like that.
Yeah.
So, and I'm happy they made a change because Christopher McQuarrie can keep making them.
Cruise posted today, like an agreement between him and Warner Brothers.
He's going over to Warner Brothers.
What does that mean? I didn't
like. He's gonna start developing projects with Warner Brothers.
Oh, who is he usually with?
Paramount.
Oh,
which I think means Paramount's gonna start going down because Mission Impossible is like their flagship.
Why did he do that?
I don't know. I didn't read about it.
He basically just posted the agreement, so it's not going to say why.
Oh, okay.
It's just the Tom, or not the agreement, the press release.
Yeah. He's like, here's the contract.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. So,
so she doesn't watch the tape, and he thinks he's in the clear. His friend calls him, and I like the Tetra's like, I just got some dumb girl to watch it.
Yeah.
And then the water starts coming in to the room that he's in. He goes out into the living room, sees that she's not watching it, which to him, means that it's not going to work because she's not watching it. And then he dies.
Yeah.
Horrifically.
Of course.
And then we cut to
Naomi.
And
Rachel. Now she is Mama. They've moved to Astoria, Oregon, which, folks, we've been there.
Never say die.
Yeah, Goonies were there. We've been there. I've climbed
Goonies are there, dude.
Well, yeah, they never die. I climbed that tower.
Didn't they get enough money? Oh, yeah, because at the end of the movie, they got all the treasures in the doubloons that their house didn't get foreclosed on, and they got to stay.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't you think of all of the harebrained ideas?
That's one of the best ones? Yes.
No.
I love that movie so much.
Don't you think them, because they bounce it around all the time, don't you think them making a sequel to that movie is the worst idea you could ever do?
I think the last ounce of childhood that I've left would be killed.
Yeah.
Does that get bounced around every once in a while?
Yeah, and I think...
And it's the old fogies that are going to be starring in it?
I think on IMDb, it's been like a movie that's been sitting there for like a decade now, which makes me think it will never happen.
No.
But, I don't know. Stranger things have happened.
I will be as upset as the whole Wonka situation.
Yeah, which apparently is great.
Apparently
it's great.
You can think that. I won't think that.
Well, I haven't seen it,
I'm saying you instead.
Oh, wow. Way to call back, Jordan. So, yeah, she is a mom. She's being, because in the previous movie, she was a very distant mother, and now she seems to be really trying. She moved.
She's running a paper at Astoria, but she has more time for Aiden.
Well, she's not running it, but
I thought she was. She has her own office. She's like editor-in-chief. He owns it. She's editor-in-chief.
Yeah.
Because he's arguing with her about cutting a column that he writes.
That's what it was.
She has the corner office.
Yeah.
Bub.
Yeah, in the company car.
No. But yeah, so...
Well, you just covered what happens next. The Mentalist walks in. Simon Baker himself.
The Mentalist, yes.
Yeah.
So the Mentalist walks in, and sexual tension is at an all-time high. And they're arguing about her cutting one of his column from his paper, and yada yada yada. Goes home. Aiden's there. He's getting into photography, and it's like, wow, I wonder if this will come back later in the movie. And you see that they're really trying to establish an idyllic life together. Just like starting fresh. They get to spread out in this house.
They got away from Seattle.
She's even making dinner for him.
Yeah.
She's got time for him. But he still seems he's carrying trauma.
Yes. I know you're probably not gonna like that I'm doing this divergent here, but I just want to tell you what the plot of The Mentalist is. Which, I'm
interested. Isn't he probably really good at not power of suggestion, but he's good at guessing things. He'll walk into he's kind of like a Sherlock type, where he walks into a crime scene. No. It doesn't start with crime scenes. There's an ongoing thing happening, and they're like, let's get the Mentalist, and he talks to a suspect or something. And he has a 2-second conversation with them, and he's like, that's what it is.
So I'm just going to read this little 2-paragraph summary by a fan. And also, I think, and Jack O'Hara, you got to text me. I think Jack O'Hara was a huge fan of this show. I'm pretty sure. But it is... Patrick Jane is a crime consultant with the California Bureau of Investigation. He has a particular gift for astute observation and reading people, honed through years of being a faux psychic. His gift makes him brilliant at solving murders, which is why the CBI have him around. However, his motive for taking on the role is purely one of revenge. Find and kill the man who killed his wife and daughter, Red John.
I mean, that's a killer premise.
You have
to give it to him.
It is a good premise.
It's killer. And you got the whole dead wife thing. I mean, that's like crucial for any cop
bread and
thing.
butter, man. It's always dead wives.
Do you think they figured it out in the Monk movie?
I've never really seen Monk.
I never stuck around long enough to find out who killed his wife.
Yeah, it's always the wife. Man, Christopher Nolan must be writing these shows.
Or he's just a big fan.
Yeah, he's like, this gives me an idea. Okay, so then, what's her name in this? Rachel.
Rachel.
She goes, okay, there's something on the. This is the worst sentence I've ever said in my life. Makes no sense. She's at the paper. She hears on the radio band that the police found like a dead body, and it sounds like a description of the Ring killing.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes to the house. She sneaks into where the body is.
In the ambulance?
In the ambulance. The coroner thing. And
the coroner thing.
What is that called? A hearse.
It's not a hearse. It's an ambulance.
Was it an ambulance?
Yes.
I thought it said like coroner on the side.
Okay, it was coroner, but it's not a hearse.
Yeah, you're right.
A hearse is what you take to a funeral.
You're right, yeah. My dad used to pick up dead bodies.
Like on the side of the road, dead bodies.
Yeah. And he worked for Conger Morris. Or Conger Morris, I think.
That seems like a job very specific people can handle.
Maybe that's why he's happy all the time. He's seen so many dead bodies, he's just thankful.
Your dad is a thankful guy.
He's very thankful. It's one of his qualities. Mm-hmm. A chance for Faramir to show his quality. My brain is off today. So
she goes in and unzips the bag and sees his horrific, messed up face.
Yeah. So all of this, I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, confirms to her what happened. How is this happening? Gets back in her car.
Yeah.
And is like, I only made one copy.
Goes and burns it.
Oh, okay. She doesn't go to the police station first?
Or no, she finds the tape somewhere and burns it in the house.
She goes to the police station and she wants more information about all of this. She wants to talk to the girl.
Uh-huh.
They're like, sneeze off.
Excommunicado, John Wick.
And she sees the girl, runs up and talks to her, and is like, I know what happened. Like, tell me. Is it the tape? Is it the tape? Is it the tape? And then she goes back to the residence.
Yeah.
Sneaks in, gets the tape, and goes and burns it.
Yeah.
So is that what causes Samara to come after them? Because it doesn't feel that way. It feels like they just moved into this town.
Uh-huh.
And they think they're going to start fresh, but because of the events of the first movie, her setting her free is what is going to make her possess her son, right? Her burning the tape means nothing to me.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't feel like they were trying to make it seem like it did.
I don't think so.
Okay.
So, and here's where already the movie starts like going off in a way that I didn't expect or think.
Same.
But it didn't hit the bad part yet.
No.
But my thought, and I wonder if you'll agree, is naturally she then in the next act is struggling to figure out why this is happening. And she's like, you said that she got out. I thought we got away. Why is she after us? Yada, yada, yada. And then she goes throughout this time and finds out more about Samara's life before the Morgans.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that leads her to how she would break the curse, and that's the third act.
I agree.
But the movie doesn't do that.
No. I'm fine with the bothering her son.
Sure, yeah.
Stuff, because it gives her even a stronger conviction to figure it out. It provides stakes.
Uh-huh.
I'm fine with that. I just think like how some of it was done, I just didn't care for.
Yeah.
I don't really have any ideas on how to make it different. I also didn't love like more backstory. I wanted more backstory. I did not like what it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like if we can bounce around a little bit, like there's a scene where she goes and finds her mother and goes to the insane asylum.
Played by Sissy Spacek, which I forgot to cover, but it's Carrie.
Yeah. And you're like, whoa, they got Sissy Spacek. This is crazy. Like, this is great casting, you know, and all this. And she's just like, be a good mom. And even the setup of that scene, they're like, yeah, every once in a while a mom comes here. and she always knows when they're going to come.
What?
And that I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And then they kind of don't do anything with that.
No.
And then
guys, we were watching the extended version.
Yeah. And it just seemed like I don't know. I wanted to find out that she was from like she's from hell, or she's from like the deep depths of like a jungle somewhere.
I think it's okay to leave it somewhat murky.
Yeah.
Because when she's investigating, before she meets her, she learns like, sorry, the mother like came from down in the from the mountains, and she was 8 months pregnant when this like not convent, but it's like a convent, found her and took her in. And she doesn't know who the father. She said there is no father.
Yeah.
To which Rachel's like, come on. And then the lady's like, you wouldn't, like, most women come here saying there is no, like, lady. She doesn't know who the guy is.
Yeah.
So I like the mystery of that. I wonder if they would get into that in a third movie. Because that's like, that still allows the supernatural element to come into play.
Yeah, but I don't know. It just felt too like Freddy Krueger-esque. You know, like the nun mom. I know that she's not a nun, but I don't know. It just, I guess I wanted something more folklore-ish.
Yeah.
Or even make it interesting, like.
Yeah, like what are the like I almost feel like, because the Morgans were really desperate to have a daughter. Yeah. And I'm assuming, you know, because they adopted, that they couldn't conceive. I mean, like, why wouldn't they just go with the adoption route? So it's logical. It all makes sense. Yeah. But it's like, what if there was a scenario where the Morgan lady, Anna Morgan, was like, no, I like demand to be pregnant. What weird ritual? Yeah. Like they go off for a season and they come back with a baby, which makes no sense. It's unnatural. Everyone assumes they adopted them, but what if through investigation she wasn't adopted? She was born. Right. And it's not okay. It's not right. It's dark and evil.
That's what I wanted. Yeah. And I don't know why,
especially like, sorry. Yeah. But like what adds to the little girl being evil is the dad never wanted her. So she has like a lack of love. Yeah. In her life.
Well, and I didn't want the like, and I know we're just talking about like what we want, and that's not what the movie is, but it's like, I didn't want Samara's backstory, Samara's backstory to be that the Morgans took a big long vacation to Astoria, Oregon, like 4 hours away from Seattle. Yeah. And that's where they got her. It was like, I thought they got her from like an island. Yeah. Or
last episode, Transylvania.
Yeah. Or, or it would, I think there was maybe a missed opportunity to like tie it into Japan or something to like homage the first movie. Sure. I don't know. And I know that's like, we usually don't get that specific with our, but it just felt so lacking what we got.
It just was, not
and you find out like she's afraid of water.
And it's like, no.
Because she tried to drown her as a baby, the mom.
But it feels like the baby never liked water, because the lady made him mention like anytime she gave her a bath, it was like she was screaming bloody murder. Yeah. Which it's like, hey, have you met Talia? But it's like, so this like, is that saying that this baby has always been scared of water? Why? I don't know. Yeah. Even pre the lady trying to drown her, like, I don't know.
And I get
too much water stuff.
Too much water.
Why can't it just be the well alone?
That's what I'm thinking. Yes, stuff? I was gonna say that. Yeah. And I just I don't know if you're. I think there should be something more with like TV or something. I know that there's.
I know there. Yeah, I
there's
agree.
a TV upstairs in the last movie, and that's what makes it interesting. But like, if she lives on, like, let's do something with that.
Get into iPads, laptops, smartphones.
Well, here's. If the next movie, which came out in like 2017, I think.
Oh, really?
I think. Okay. So it's like much later. If the next movie is not about the video becoming viral, they're idiots. Because that is right there. Mm-hmm. Someone finds the tape, they upload it online, and then like teens and people are dying all over the U.S. Yeah. That is, you have to do that, right?
Does it have to be the tape?
I think it just translates, and that's what they can establish in that. And I mean,
Samara can never be killed. She lives on forever.
And horror movies are like the easiest movies to be about metaphors and stuff.
It's Slender Man.
Yeah. But it's like the easiest movies to be about metaphors and stuff. And like going off on like internet culture and stuff like that, that's right there. And if the next movie is not about that, that is stupid.
Yeah, totally.
So Samara grabs Aiden into the TV, and it just doesn't really look good, like compared to the other movie.
When does this happen?
At the beginning of the movie.
Okay.
we talked about the end. Now it's time to go back to the beginning.
No, it doesn't look as good.
No. But we did learn something that is of great value to us that I think makes this whole movie worth watching. There's a scene where Rachel is being talked to by her neighbors, and she's annoyed by them, and she gets down to Aiden's level. And this is great because Talia is not old enough yet for this, so we'll know this trick. And she says, Aiden, I want you to start walking, and no matter what I say, keep walking. And I thought it was going to be like related to horror or something like that. But she's just talking to them, and she's like, hey, Aiden, come back here. I'm talking to these ladies. And Aiden just keeps walking. She's like, Aiden. And then she's like, sorry, I've got to go get him. He's not listening.
Pro move,
Great
dude.
move. Great
Pro.
move.
Can't wait to use it.
Yeah, and then there's this scene where he goes to the bathroom and he opens a toilet.
Well, first of all, he's got gum on his hands and he's going to a stall to figure it out.
Yeah.
That is disturbing. He goes to every single toilet.
There's 3 toilets.
And the water gets sucked up or something.
They like gargles. And
goes to the sinks. Can't be used. A fly comes out of one of them. Still has gum on his hands. What a bad day.
I know. And then he's just taking pictures of himself in a mirror.
Well,
and
he sees her in the mirror.
Samara's there. Yeah.
But it's because he sees her.
Yes, you're right. And it was just crazy how devoid of scares this scene was.
Not scary. No.
And I'm not like, oh, it wasn't scary for me. I'm too tough. I mean, like there was not tension in the sequence.
Yeah.
It was very weird.
Yeah.
Very off.
Do you think that there that something should have actually developed romantically between the mentalist and Rachel?
Well, it depends on if he's caught Red John or not. Did you hear what I said?
If he caught Red John.
Yeah, the person who killed his wife.
Micah, I listened. I know. I feel like I would have cared more. I would have been a little bit more invested if they had actually gotten involved.
Sure.
Not that there was a ton of time. This takes place over a short period of time. And I'm assuming the events of the first movie just happened. But there never really felt like they had much between them.
Yeah.
And I think I would have liked it more if there was something. And I think it would have hurt more later in the movie when he thinks he sees her drowning Aiden.
Yeah.
That like it would hurt more.
Yeah.
It would hurt more when he dies.
I think he does a fine performance. It's just the characterization is just too paint by numbers for me.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I lived in New York, but then I got brought back to this town because my parents, the old bank and loan.
Yep.
Like, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And the last movie didn't really
He's showing up
do
for
that.
work. He's getting his paycheck.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing.
So then they drive away from this fair thing, and they are attacked by deer in one of
Bucks.
The most baffling sequences maybe I've ever seen.
There was a time in the early 2000s where I feel like we were getting a lot of mileage out of CGI deer and bucks for some reason.
Yeah, I Am Legend.
I Am Legend, Twilight.
The rest.
But it did feel like a lot for some reason.
We thought we nailed it.
And we still haven't nailed it, to be fair.
Yeah. I mean, did you see 3 billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri? Bad looking deer in that movie.
I don't remember.
And it's like kind of the crux of the movie.
Oh, really?
It's like making her think about her daughter, and she's seeing the billboards. Good movie. Bad deer.
Yeah. So they leave the fair and almost hit they do hit a buck or almost hit a buck.
Yeah.
And then Aiden's like, keep driving. And then
don't stop.
Yeah, don't stop. The buck comes back, and then the buck brings a friend, and then
the camera keeps panning, and we keep seeing more
but
deer.
But before that, it like smashes through the car windows.
Yeah.
But then it's like, a whole fleet. What's a
herd?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A herd of deer show up, and man, they looked awful.
Yeah, and it just it's like every time it keeps going, you're like, no way. Like they can't just show another one because like 1 was crazy, 2 was a little Or 1 was understandable. 2 was a little crazy. Once I got to 3, I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then there's like $30 out there.
Yeah. And their car is smashed up and they barely make it out. This is when I fell off.
This is when I fell off as well.
Yeah.
And I didn't really, I know that there was like in the basement of the house she lived, there was.
That's not enough. That's not enough to have what at the time might have been considered their money shot scene.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Nope.
I did write this though. I said they double down because a second deer shows up, and then I wrote they triple down, and then they herd down.
Great.
So then they get back to their house, and the house goes crazy, like stoves and.
But it's like it's because of how he's breathing or something.
See, I didn't really get the rules of what was happening very, very well. I felt it was unclear.
But like all the kitchen appliances were catching on fire or moving, and the lights were flickering.
And
then Aiden keeps getting colder and colder. His body temperature keeps plummeting, and at this point, she admits him to the no, she brings him to the mentalist's house.
Yes,
and he knew she would bring him there
because
he's the mentalist.
Yeah, he was a faux psychic, and then. Works with the police trying to find Red John.
Yeah. They go to his house, and she draws...
That is the sentence I wrote. Take him to the mentalist house.
She draws a bath for Aiden, and then she's going to run back home to grab some of their things. And I think she's like, we're getting the heck out of Dodge. This is no good. We're going to keep running.
Now, this bathtub sequence is very cool.
It is cool.
Because the room fills up with water.
I don't think it does. It's just in the ceiling.
Well, it's like it's
not a Shape of Water situation.
No, it's Simon Baker, aka the Mentalist. He's standing outside of this door that's been closed,
knocking, saying, "Red John, Red John."
Yeah, and the water is seeping through beneath, and then Naomi Watts shows up, and it starts coming through the keyhole.
Yep.
And then they open the door, and there's water covering the ceiling.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, and then when she's able to pull him out of the bath, it all flies down.
Does she pull him out?
I think so. And if she doesn't, we're just going to say she does.
By the time the mentalist comes back, he sees her over him, and it looks like she's drowning him. And he calls out to her.
Yes, yeah, because Samara has, she's within him.
Yeah, I like to call it a possession, but to each his own.
Yeah, well, I think they don't really use that word in this series so far.
That's what it is, though.
Yeah. But it's like Walking Dead, where it's like, oh yeah, sure, no one would call these things zombies in the future.
I don't think they're avoiding it. I just
no.
The word possession is like a scientific, it's like the scientific word for that thing.
Yeah, the scientific word. That is just my favorite thing about Walking Dead.
Yeah, they're called walkers, not zombies.
And it's sure, maybe people would call them something else, but you're telling me that nobody would be like, yeah, these are zombies.
But Mike, in the world he created,
it's just silly.
Zombies have never. There's probably never been a Romero movie. Night of the Living Dead.
Come on, it's silly. You got to say it's silly.
I think it's silly, but I don't think you can be mad.
I don't think I said it was. I was mad.
You seem pretty mad.
I said it's silly.
No, are you kidding me? You've gotten worked up over that so many times.
It's dumb, and I'm mad about it. But yeah, So
the mentalist is like, we're taking him to the hospital.
Yeah.
So
he makes the right call. He's like, I need to report you to child services.
He's the mentalist. He knows.
Yeah, you're trying to kill your son.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and they find out that she had postpartum depression.
Yeah.
And it was pretty intense. So is this as horror movies go, is this like a metaphor / allegory about how hard it is to raise a child and how sometimes you want to strangle him in the bath?
Not done well, if that's what they were going for.
I kind of like that angle of the movie. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I kind of like what the story's trying to say with that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just not that
especially
entertaining.
Because she shares that with Samara's mom, who also had postpartum depression.
Yeah.
And they both had kind of similar experiences because of being single mothers and having to figure it out on their own.
Right.
And the stresses that creates for a mom. But isn't done well.
Yeah. Well, and it
just
almost
should have been hit harder.
Almost to stick the landing, you almost need her to get possessed by Samara at the end. So it's like she became which she's trying to, destroy.
I don't know about that.
Maybe.
But if that's how you feel.
Well, I'm just still pissed about this whole Walking Dead thing.
I know.
I don't know. But she sees a vision in the hospital.
She does? What does she see?
She like grabs his hand and sees a vision.
Whose hand?
Aiden.
Oh, he shows her something because he says like she can't hear us when we're asleep because she's never asleep.
Yeah. So okay, there's all this business in the hospital.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Perkins shows up.
Yeah, she comes in and she's like, "You're not leaving this place with your son.
Yeah.
No way, no how until
Makes
you
sense.
talk to me. Yeah, I'm a psychiatrist. We need to figure out what is actually going on between you and your son." Does make sense.
He's got crazy bruises all over his body.
Yeah.
You know.
And she brings her into another room to do an interview, leaves her locked in that room while she leaves to get coffee, but Rachel escapes.
And that's when she goes and finds Sissy Spacek and that whole sequence that we already talked about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Pretty much. But I think before that, she's talking to the mentalist and he's like, "You got to really tell me what's happening."
Yeah.
And she has the Aiden's camera.
And she's like, "Well, first of all, do you know who Red John is?"
Yeah. She shows him the camera and he's like, "Who's that girl?" And she's like, "Why is she in every picture?" And she's like, "Take a picture of him and like basically like you'll believe me if you take a picture of Nancy." And then it felt like his character was forgotten. I think it's very strange that he didn't do it in the hospital. And in a way, like maybe his character was just trying to come to terms with it. I think he doesn't know what to believe, but we barely see him doing any of that.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like,
he like looks in and then it like cuts to the next scene.
Yeah, and he never does it in the hospital.
Yeah.
He like, at some point Aiden leaves, and I guess he found out.
Yeah.
Because he goes to their house and finds him, and then he's a dummy. And is like, "I want to take a picture of you." "You can't take a picture of me. Come over here and I'll tell you why." And he's like, "Okay, let me turn on the timer to take a picture of you anyway." To which he's like, the kid's like, "Yeah, I know. I'm going to kill you. You're dead." I feel like they just ran out of things to do for his character.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I did actually kind of like that scene though, where he's trying to take a picture and he's like, "What's going on?" You know, I did kind of like that.
I just think that they left a lot to be desired.
Sure.
Yeah. It would have been kind of cool to see because Samara is now personified in an actual person. How does she kill somebody? Because it's always like through the TV.
Yeah.
And it's that really horrific face that people get. So, but it's like, what can she do?
Now that she has human flesh.
We did kind of see that in the first movie at the end. But also we didn't really see it.
Yeah.
But that was the scary part about it.
Yeah.
So now we have the second movie, and it's like, come on, give us a little bit more.
Yeah, Hideo Nakata, take us there, right? Isn't that his name?
I think so.
Yep, I got it right. Yeah, and it's weird because, like, another thing, it just felt a little unresolved. And you know, we're watching a version that's like 18 minutes longer than the one that's in theater. So you'd think it'll be a little more explained, like. And you don't necessarily need this explanation, but like Elizabeth Perkins is driven to kill herself.
Because of Samara,
yeah. And all the other killings, they have like that crazy face.
So
but she injects herself with air to kill herself, which is a gnarly way to go.
Yeah. Ooh.
But then it's like, that's never brought up.
Nope.
And like when the movie ends, it's not like, "Hey, you know, we have to ask you about this nurse that was murdered in your room."
In the first movie, like it seems like she kind of drove her adopted mother to suicide via like she was in her head all the time.
Samara?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I feel like happened. But so in this
could be guilt though from locking her daughter in a well.
Could be both.
Yeah.
Because Brian Cox said that she's always in his mind or something like that too. Like she never sleeps. So which means she's been torturing him as well. Yeah, but to just have her like straight up force someone to kill themselves, it's like, and it's just gonna be one person.
Yeah, that was a little confusing.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we have all the Sissy Spacek stuff. We know that, and then "I'm here, mommy." He got out. Max is dead, and then she has this dream. And in the dream, Aiden's like, "We can talk in dreams because she doesn't sleep." I like that. That's cool.
Sure. Yeah.
And then she's like banging on the door or something like that. And so he's like, "You know, we only have a limited amount of time." And he tells her, "Yo, Mom, listen up, girl. He says, you have to kill me. And she's like, I can't do that. And he goes, you're just going to have to do it. So, yeah. So they do that. You have to kill me. And then I just wrote, like, it's all the horror feels very anticlimactic.
Absolutely.
Because then she puts him in the bathtub and drowns him. And then Samara is dead, right?
She, like, leaves his body. I don't know if she's dead.
Yeah. And she appears and dissipates. And that's kind of it.
Uh-huh.
And then I wrote, takes Naomi as mother.
Then the TV turns on and it's
right,
the well. She comes out to the screen and Naomi's like, take me. And she gets sucked into the TV. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's this whole sequence. I forgot about
Well,
this.
then she's down in the well again, but like in the TV, and she climbs out of the well. And Samara's hot
She's
on
like,
her heels,
"Mommy,
doing
Mommy."
the contortioning horror movie stuff that's so overplayed. Not in 2005, probably.
And she says,
but
I'm not your effing mommy.
yeah.
And slams it shut.
Seals the well up. And then comes back.
Yeah. And that's like the movie.
Yeah. It's not fine. It's not a good movie.
I think
it's a disappointing sequel.
Yeah, certainly. But it's also like, what do you expect from a sequel to a movie that's that singular, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
I think you could have had a better story.
I know. And the next one better be about the internet. That's all I'm going to say.
Is that as low as the bar needs to be for you?
If they clear that bar, then I will give them this. Oh, they did the internet thing is probably what I'll say on the episode.
Wow, I'm so, like, riveted. I can't wait to see what happens.
So, I don't know. I got nothing left to say about the movie.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell them about the next series that we're covering?
Well, you got to let me guess what it is, because I don't know.
First of all, I had to change it today.
Don't tell them why. Don't tell them, today.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I had not taken into account our anniversary episode.
So did that change it completely?
So I had to, it was going to be a 5-film series, and then I minused one to make it a 4-film series.
So you changed it completely?
It is different completely.
Oh my gosh.
We have...
Are you happy or bummed about it?
I would have been happy with both.
Okay.
Although I know that the last entry in the...
Were we going to do Indiana Jones?
No.
Oh, okay.
But great guess. Yeah, the last entry in this series that we were going to cover was so bad. And I did not look forward to rewatching that. The rest of them I was fine with rewatching.
Oh, don't tell me.
Yeah. But this one, it is 4 entries.
Yeah.
Jan and Jeremy Eden will be on our 4th episode.
Okay. The 4th episode?
The 4th episode.
Okay.
I believe you've seen most of them, if not all.
Okay.
Do you want some more?
Do I like them?
Do you want to play 20 questions with it, or you?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so
is it a movie?
Yes.
Is it a franchise?
Yes.
Do I like him?
Yes.
Do I like 2 of them?
Yes. I'm unclear how many you've seen though.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you've seen 1 at least, but I don't think you've seen 3 and 4.
Are they in the 2000s?
No.
Earlier.
Well, yes. I'm not going to count that question against you. You're up to 5 questions.
Is it sci-fi?
No.
Oh. Is it action?
Yes.
Is it Rocky? Wait, no, because then you have to do all the Creed movies.
Yeah, and there's much more than 4, even in Rocky.
There are?
There's 6 Rocky movies.
What? Oh.
6 Rocky, 3 Creeds.
That's going to be a chore when we get to that.
Not really, Jordan.
Well, in a way, it will, because of the court. What the court has handed down to certain people now in the franchise. That's just one movie.
I actually thought you were there's actually like I think that there's a court thing involving Stallone and like one of the producers. So that's what I thought you were talking about.
Who's in it? I don't know. Give me a person that's in it, not the star.
Okay, I'll give you a bit of an obscure. Okay. Not in all of them, but
Lethal Weapon.
Lethal Weapon, yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Wow. Holy cow! That was
it was the obscure person you gave me.
I didn't even say the name. Okay. Did you know what I was gonna say?
No. Joe Pesci?
I was gonna say Chris Rock.
Oh my gosh!
Because I would have thought that would have thrown you off.
I don't think. Which one is he in?
I believe he's in the third, but it might be the fourth one.
See, you owned the DVD pack that had all 4.
Yeah.
And therefore,
and truly, my father owned it.
True, but we will probably be borrowing them from him.
Absolutely.
There's a chance I've seen them all, but there is a chance I only watched the 2 because that's when you gave me the big stack of movies.
Yeah. And I feel like you would have watched the first 2.
Because I've seen that effing you through the drive-through, and that's in the second one.
Yeah. But you probably didn't get to Chris Rock being like, they F you with the cell phones. They F you with the cell phones. And he's like only doing like comedy routines the whole movie. It's like he's trying out material.
Bad.
We'll see.
See, because I've only seen these once. I don't really remember anything about them because it was when I was watching like 20 other movies you gave me to watch.
Yeah.
And I have not an ounce of nostalgia for them.
Yeah.
So I am pretty indifferent about it.
Yeah. It'll be a fun, at the very least, we'll have a lot of fun watching it.
Why did they choose the 4th movie?
We'll find out when they're on.
Oh, okay.
But I only messaged them about guesting. I was just like, it'd be nice if they were on.
Great.
But yeah. So next week is Rings, plural. I believe there's no article of the in it. It's just Rings. And then after that, we'll do Lethal Weapon. And of course, it is the month of February, which means this, folks. Go to patreon.com/Micah McCaw, sign up or start your free trial, and you can listen to our other podcasts, MPU, The Sequel, Legacy. And so far this year, we have Tron and Tron Legacy out now. And you're going to want to listen to that. There's more fun to come.
Mm-hmm.
And please rate our podcast. Please share it. Now, last episode, you had to share it or else you'd die.
Yeah.
This episode, if you don't drown your phone like we talked about, you will die.
Mm-hmm.
So please send us pictures of your iPhone underwater, please.
But remember to have that bowl of rice sitting right nearby.
Yes. And this podcast is not responsible, and we cannot be held liable for any damages that are caused to or from your iPhone.
Great.
Or Samsung.
Great.
All you
or Android.
All you Cricket mobiles though, Cricket mobiles will be responsible for that. All right, thanks for listening, folks. Capiche.